Welcome to a brand new episode of the Bold Take Podcast. I'm Austin Hill. With me, as always, is Austin Waiter. And yes, I am wearing a shirt. It's just a very light pink. Didn't want anybody to be thrown off. I'm seeing myself in the camera, and it doesn't exactly look like I'm shirtless, but it doesn't exactly look like I'm wearing a shirt either. So I figured I'd clear the air right away, leave no questions about it. Uh, but we're back. We're talking college football playoff action. And just one sleep from recording this episode, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish and the Indiana Hoosiers will play the first ever official 12 team college football playoff game.
I'm at the point where, we talk about it. We talked about it all last week. We talked about the build up to it. I'm at the point where thankfully it's here, and I just want everyone to shut up about it
Yeah.
and, just play the games. It's like we've had the build up. Yes, we know it's going to happen. Yes, people have their opinions about the 12-team playoff and everything, but it's here. So let's just all sit back and enjoy what happens. That's the point I'm at. I can't wait to see it play out, regardless of if it's good or bad. I'm excited to see it play out.
I'm with you there. But first, let's talk about just a few of the bowl games that have already unfolded before us. We've got the Veterans Bowl between South Alabama and Western Michigan. This ended up being a 30-23 victory for the Jaguars. And look, you're going to see this a little bit from these early bowl games. Some of these teams trying to avoid that dreaded 6-7 season. You finish the regular season at 500. You're looking to get that one win to push you over. Unfortunately, in this one, somebody had to go 6-7, and that ended up being the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate there. They got off to a good start. Gio Lopez, the star freshman quarterback for South Alabama, wasn't playing in the game, so it looked like they were going to have the good start. But then they got their ground game going with Kentrell Bullock. He did a good job running the football for them. So yeah, good for South Alabama, and they have a lot of talent coming back next year for them too. So they could be someone maybe to keep an eye on, at least in my eyes, as a dark horse maybe in that Sun Belt, I think.
Yeah, hey, I'm with you there. Dark horse to maybe join the SEC. Just kidding. Um, Then we've got Jackson State really walking away in this Celebration Bowl game against South Carolina State, 28-7. Left no questions about it. They went out there and they executed, and really continuing in the footsteps that Deion Sanders paved for this team.
Look, there is no other way to describe it. This was a dominating performance from the start for Jackson State. And yeah, you mentioned great job continuing to build off of the success that Dion was able to have there. South Carolina State, I mean, that was a team a lot of people felt was going to come out on top in that game. But yeah, credit to Jackson State. They not only won, I mean, they dominated the game. There was never a doubt that they weren't going to win.
Yeah, and then we have the only game that's ever mattered in the history of football, Army Navy. You get this pick right, and really you can throw the records out. You win the ultimate bragging rights on this show. Unfortunately, some people got it right, some people didn't. I won't point any fingers, but I will say that some people picked the wrong team, and Navy just came out and they flat out dominated this game on the scoreboard. Uh, Really a great way to close out the season with a big ranked win. I'm really excited for what we can see from Army and Navy in the future, especially how competitive they were in the American this year.
And I don't know who you're pointing at here. I don't get the pointing at your screen. That seems a little bit personal, but either way, talking about the game, yeah, I mean, Navy dominated from the get-go. Blake Horvath was incredible for Navy in the game. If there were enough people for team and players of the week, he probably would have been the player of the week. Let's
Yeah,
just say it like it was. I mean, he straight up dominated. They controlled the clock throughout most of it. And that Army offense, got behind super early. They had to get out of their normal offensive routine. And I mean, they really had no shot at it to be honest with you. And Bryson Daly, who's been so good all season, turned the football over, and that's what cost them the game here. But look, this was the most hyped Army Navy game I've in my lifetime that I've seen for it. So it was fun to see as always with the Army Navy game. Would have hoped for a better one, but you're absolutely right. Navy just kicked Army's butt this year. No other way to describe it.
Yeah, and like you said, Army kind of got out of their flow, and that's because they're a team that's used to dominating their opponents. Look, and they're 11 wins this season. It's been by pure domination. So yeah, when this team can't get out and get ahead early, they tend to find themselves struggling. Then we go to Tuesday, the Frisco Bowl between Memphis and West Virginia, where Memphis caps off an 11-win season and puts together a super impressive resume. The Tigers, look, this is a team to look out for. You had kind of talked about it this year, and really they lived up to the expectations this season.
I mean, you just wonder where they're at. They got the great win over Tulane at the end of the year. You just wonder where they're at if they beat Navy and then they beat UTSA. They win those games. I mean, we're looking at them possibly, depending on obviously how it would have gone against Army in the conference championship. But you're talking about you win those games. I mean, they could be sitting where Boise State's at right now. So that's the question there. I'm interested to see what they do for the future. Obviously, they got to replace Seth Hannigan, who was his 50th career start at Memphis during that bowl game, which I thought was really impressive because you don't see quarterbacks make 50 plus starts at schools anymore nowadays, at one specific school. So yeah, I was happy for him. It was a fun, exciting game. It was, I was coming back home from West Memphis calling Bologna basketball. This game kept me wide awake. It was really entertaining. It was really fun. West Virginia kept it close. Garrett Green, wish he would have had a better senior season for West Virginia, but just didn't happen. It was a fun bowl game, though. It was a really fun one.
Yeah, and like you said, what could have happened if Memphis had won this game against Navy, then won the game against UTSA, and then what happens in that conference championship? I think really, you talk about them being in the spot Boise State's in. Winner of that Army Memphis game, where the two teams would have likely been ranked, in the top 25, they could have legitimately been fighting for Clemson's spot in this college football playoff.
I think
Um,
that's fair.
Memphis probably would have been ranked in the top within the top 20, and then Army would have come into that game probably ranked. They were ranked 24, right, coming into the conference championship. So not impossible to assume that maybe you get that ranked win, and you get bumped up a little bit higher than maybe 16. Uh, but no sense in dwelling on what could have been here in bowl season. Then in the Boca Raton Bowl, where I unfortunately didn't watch this game, did the Costco guys make an appearance at this game? Seems pretty fitting. They're from Boca Raton. How could they not make an appearance at this game?
Hmm. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they did. If they did, I never saw it. And I watched most of this game.
Ugh.
I know they interviewed Red Grimace on the sideline. I can confirm that for
Wow,
Western
I love
Kentucky.
that. I actually love that. But
Yeah, but yeah.
missed opportunity on the Costco guys. But James Madison gets the job done, 27-17 over Western Kentucky. And look, James Madison continues this incredible ascension in FBS that really is kind of unseen. Them and Jacksonville State have really put together some incredible seasons here in FBS.
Happy for them, their first ever bowl win in school history. So that's something great about them. And they did it without Alonzo Barnett, their quarterback. He was out with injury, so they had to play with a whole new quarterback system. They ran the ball well. Western Kentucky gave them a fight, but it just in the end it rolled with James Madison's way, and I'm happy for them. 9-4. You wondered what happened after Kurt Signetti left to go to Indiana. You didn't know if they were going to fall back down to mediocrity. But to follow it up with a 9-4 season, getting your first ever bowl win, that's not a bad way to follow that up. Now, again, obviously with this coaching staff and some of the players that were there from the team last year and on this year, how do you continue to build off it? I think that's truly the question that we have to ask ourselves in this.
Yeah, then UNLV gets it done very impressively, 24-13 against Cal. And UNLV is another team that's just had a great season this year, continuing the success. It'll be interesting to see how this team looks next year. No Barry Odom, as we talked about last week, heading to Purdue. But still, a great finish to the season, an 11-win season. You love seeing some of these teams that are getting double-digit win seasons that you really wouldn't expect. And Cal falling to 6-7. This is a team of would have, could have, should have beens uh, this season, but I think it sets up a very fun and interesting Cal team to build on in the future in this ACC that is clearly still so up for grabs. I mean, just with the way the ACC finished out in the championship game this year.
I think so. And, looking after UNLV, of course, I talked about it last week with Dan Mullen coming in. He was there, and I made my thoughts very clear. I don't think UNLV will disappear with Dan Mullen there. I think they'll be a constant top team in the Pac-12 if they ever eventually join it, they ever get that worked out. I think he could lead them and be successful there. Um, and then for Cal, I'm wondering about the future. Brian Harson's going to be their new offensive coordinator. We all know what happened the last time he had a coaching job somewhere. Kind of did not work well at Auburn. But speaking of Austin, I meant to tell you on Tuesday when I was coming home, you will never guess who somehow got a defensive coordinator job.
Matt Patricia.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a fair one. No, it would be the man, the myth, the one who ruined Caleb Williams' chances at a natty. Alex Grinch is going to be the
No,
defensive coordinator at UCF.
the Grinch comes in to steal Christmas. That is criminal. Oh
I know.
no.
So
That,
hey, this is just a reminder to everyone. Next year, bet the over in UCF games. Bet the over. You
yeah.
just bet the over, it's gonna hit.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, someone actually, a Power Four school gave this man another chance after what he did there and what he did at Washington State before. I mean, my gosh, why does he keep on getting defensive coordinator jobs?
And wasn't he the DC at Oklahoma?
Yeah, because he followed Lincoln Riley
Yeah.
to USC. You're right. Oh my gosh. I
And,
just don't. I saw it and I was like, there's no way someone that Scott Frost, it's fitting it's Scott Frost as
yeah.
the one that gave him the job. I don't know. I mean, I'm rooting for Scott Frost to be successful at UCF, but hiring Alex Grinch is not a good start.
The Grinch stole Christmas once again. I'm flabbergasted. I'm in awe. I'm in disgust. I'm in disbelief. That is actually unbelievable. I can't even believe you just said that to me. Tonight, let's get to some bowl action that's coming up here pretty soon. And that starts tonight at 6 o'clock in a mere 6 minutes. Georgia Southern takes on Sam Houston. We've got to get them in quick. Get the picks in fast.
Georgia Southern's going to roll in this game. I'll just go ahead and say I think Georgia Southern's going to roll. Sam Houston's coaching staff is gone after portal moves and their coaching staff. I forget where their coach ended up. I want to say he ended up at Temple. Could be where I'm thinking of. But he's gone. Georgia Southern, I think, is more consistent. They'll have their roster back fully, as far as I know. Not many players leaving in the portal. I'll take Georgia Southern to win the game.
Yeah, I'm going to join you in this one. I'm going to go Georgia Southern. Like you said, Sam Houston kind of ravaged by the portal, by this hiring cycle.
Hey,
With
speaking of that, how about Marshall? The news coming out about Marshall, them having to back out of the bowl game
yeah,
against Army because they didn't have enough players.
and that
They didn't have enough players to play in the game because the school didn't want to fricking re-sign the coach that won them a conference championship.
yeah, unbelievable, just nonstop stuff. That's typical Marshall, though. Knowing what I know about Marshall, that's
Yeah,
exactly.
they don't give the coaches the right jobs. Exactly.
Yeah, knowing what I know about Marshall, that just makes far too much sense. Um, then let's spin it to tomorrow's action. We've got the Cure Bowl, Ohio versus Jacksonville State. Who you got in this one?
That's an interesting one. So I just wanted to confirm. I was doing some research, so I had to confirm. It was the coach. He is at Temple now. Casey Keeler is the one who was at Sam Houston. He's now at Temple. Um, but yeah, I'm excited tomorrow. Game's going at 11 a.m. I'm exciting. For both these teams, it's kind of a question of, they're both conference champions, obviously, and you wonder with both teams losing their coaching staff, who comes out on top. I'm going to lean more towards Ohio. I feel like they're the more physical team in the matchup. I will say, I'm looking forward to this, waking up and watching this. I think it's going to be a great game.
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, some of us have to work. Some of us aren't.
I mean, I got to work during the Indiana Notre Dame game tomorrow night. So, I mean,
I pity you there. I would quit my job if they made me work during the biggest game in
well,
Notre Dame.
they kind of need me to call basketball games
That's
for a bit at least.
But I have a different reason. Big Notre Dame guy here. So I'm gonna go Jacksonville State. I like everything they put together. I'd like to see this team come out and get the win. And then we've got the Gasparilla Bowl. We've got Tulane versus Florida. Who you got?
I want Tulane to win. I really do. But they have lost a lot of players to the portal. Their coaching staff's still there, so I think that gives them a chance to keep it close. But man, I tell you what, I want it to be known I was one of the few men in the United States of America that predicted Florida to actually make a bowl game this year with that terrible schedule that they had that was so brutal. I believed in you, Billy Napier, to get to a bowl game. I'm going to pick them to win here, and I'm just going to tell you this. Florida wins this game. I think you were going to see a preseason ranked Florida Gator team next year. Mark my words.
I think if I like Tulane in this game, I'll preface it with that. I think Tulane's going to win, but I think you're right. Florida wins this game. They're absolutely going to be a team to look out for next year. And I think they're absolutely going to be a place where recruits in the transfer portal are going to start to go. Look, Florida's
With
already
DJ
nice.
Lagway, I mean, DJ
Yeah,
Lagway is going to be incredible. He could be a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy.
I absolutely agree there. But, Florida State, Miami have benefited from that transfer portal, Florida being a nice place to go. But right now, Florida looks like maybe the best of them all.
Yeah.
Uh, Now let's get into it. We've got 4 college football playoff games this weekend.
Yes.
It's time. We've been waiting all year, like good little boys and girls. And now, for Christmas, it comes a little bit early. We get to see some college football action, 12-team playoffs, playoff games on campus. I wish the bowl games weren't so stingy so they could all be on campus until the national championship. But unfortunately, we'll live with what we've got.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out. A lot of great first round matchups. I mean, we could go on and break each week. I go on and on about each one, but obviously we're going to talk about each one and break them down here. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. Like I said, I'm tired of everyone hyping it up, and I'm just ready for the games to be played.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's time for it to just happen. But we start under the bright lights of Notre Dame Stadium, under touchdown Jesus. South Bend, Indiana. The Hoosiers come to town to take on in-state rival, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. This is going to be a great game. Curt Cignetti looks to prove himself, get a big time win here in the college football playoff, and prove Indiana's the real deal. Notre Dame looking to make some noise and get their first win in the college football playoff era and set themselves up to make a run at the national championship. Who do you got in this game?
Well, let me just say, I mean, this has potential for regardless of who the winner is, because obviously the news that came out today, Carson Beck pretty much they officially said he's going to be out for the quarterfinal game of the college football playoff. So you're going against a pretty much a one-dimensional Georgia team. So the winner of this game, I mean, we talked about it last week, the path that the winner of this game has to maybe get to the semis and maybe make it to the national championship. I mean, it's there. It's there for him. Is who's going to take it. Supposedly it's supposed to snow. I would love a snow college football playoff game. One can hope. One can only hope for it. But both sides, listen, there's a lot of good strengths. Indiana's run defense has been phenomenal this year. Their run defense, they've shut down a lot of teams whenever they've tried to go up against them and run the football. But this Notre Dame secondary has been really impressive so far this season to me. They're going up against Curtis Rourke, who we've seen be a really good quarterback, receive some Heisman votes. Speaking of stuff that we just totally off topic, Ashton Jeanty was completely robbed of the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, talk about it. I was actually so mad.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out real quickly and then move on. But with this game, I just really don't know what to expect on Indiana's part, especially their offensive line going against that really talented Notre Dame defensive line. Um, I I just think that Notre Dame defensive line, especially in the second half, will show their dominance over that Indiana offensive line, and I think that's going to be the difference. I'll roll with Notre Dame in this game. I do think if Indiana wants to win, they need to make it a high scoring affair.
Agreed. They can't let Notre Dame control the clock, which they've done so well this season. Um, but look, I'm gonna start off. Obviously, I'm gonna take Notre Dame here. But look, Indiana's a great team. I think this is going to be a great game. But Notre Dame made a business decision against USC that paid off. Near the end of the first half, Jeremiah Love clearly was being bothered a little bit, took a hit they didn't really like. It was a close game, but he had gotten his touchdown, kept his touchdown streak, and Jadarian Price was having a ball game. So they said, out of the best interest of this team, Jeremiah, we're going to ask you to sit the rest of this game. That way, we make the call. If we win this game, we make the college football playoff. You're ready to go because you're such a talented piece. Jadarian Price had a ball game, and Jeremiah Love is healthy for this ball game. I think that's huge for this team to have that two-headed monster, really three-headed monster. When you think about Riley Leonard also going to be involved in this run game, I think this offense is just so tough to stop for anybody. And then to mention a just ferocious Notre Dame defense, easily one of the best in the country. I just think it's going to be so hard to beat Notre Dame, potentially in a snow game at home in the college football playoff. This environment is going to be insane. I'm going to give me the Irish.
And also, one thing I also want to bring up is special teams. Not something people have talked a lot about. Notre Dame's special teams this year has been incredible. Probably the best special teams unit in the country. And you're going against an Indiana team in the one big game they played this year. What ultimately cost them against Ohio State? Special teams cost them in that game. Muffed punt, bad punt return coverage leading to a punt return touchdown. I mean, that was the difference in the game against Ohio State. That got them behind where they couldn't come back. And now you're taking on Notre Dame, supposedly the best special teams unit. I'm just saying, if Indiana does want a chance as well, they can't afford mistakes like that, like they had against Ohio State, against a really good Notre Dame special teams unit.
Yeah, special teams blunders were just not there for them. Then we've got Penn State SMU in Beaver. Unfortunately, this game's at 11 a.m. This would be an insane whiteout game. An actual travesty that Ohio State, who we've seen not be able to defend their home field, is going to get the night slate here. Just unbelievable.
It's unfortunate for it, but I mean, listen, still Penn State at home. Um, it's supposedly going to have a great environment there. There could be a snow game in Happy Valley too. I mean, so it could be a literal full-on whiteout in Happy Valley, Austin, for this game.
So who you got in this one? What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, with this one, I'm thinking it comes down to how Penn State's offense plays. I have said that all year. The aggressiveness of Penn State's offense determines their success. If it's like the Ohio State game where they feel kind of stiff and they're like, we're going to slow the game down, I think SMU could win this game. Not only that, I think SMU could win by double digits. But I think if we see the kind of Penn State explosiveness from this offense that we saw throughout the season in that Big Ten championship, even though they lost to Oregon, I think you'll see their offense come out, be explosive at home. They'll take control. And also, I think that Penn State defensive line could have a field day. If they can get pressure on Kevin Jennings early, this could be a big one for Penn State. I see this being a really close game. I'm going to give an edge to Penn State in this one, but I'm expecting a great battle between these two. And look, the pressure's on both sides in this one. You got SMU. Some people felt they shouldn't have been in, and Alabama should have been in. And for Penn State, obviously, there's no need to hype it up. James Franklin in big games has not been his thing. So we're going to see both sides kind of in a pressure situation. I can't wait to see it Saturday morning.
Yeah, me either. I think this is going to be a close, great, fantastic game. But I'm also going to go with you. This is at home for Penn State, and I think that's the edge you're going to need in this kind of close game where both teams are going to be going for broke. Let's get to that Texas Clemson game. To me, this is the easiest game to pick on the slate. But I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe you feel a little bit differently than I do.
I mean, if you just go from a pure talent perspective, I mean, Texas is far better. Texas is far better. They're at home and they're a more talented team. They're far better. But I don't know. There's a part of me that is not wanting to doubt Clemson in this game. There's a part of me that wants to see Clemson go out or see Clemson potentially come out early. And if they can come out early and punch Texas in the mouth with Phil Maffa in their run game, that could lead to something. And also, I think Clemson can keep this game close with their defense. We have seen that Texas offense the last really this whole season kind of be pretty one-dimensional offensively. They struggle with the deep ball. Quinn Ewers struggles in the pocket. If they can get pressure on him early, I would not be shocked if Clemson has the lead early in this game. I'm going to give it to Texas, though, just because I think they're the better overall team. I think they're the more talented team. But I would not be shocked if the Clemson defense comes out ready to play early. If this is a close, low scoring game, if it's high scoring, Texas is going to win big.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to go with Texas in this one. I think they're just sheerly more talented. I think Texas knows they need to come in and get the job done, and I think Ewers has his best game of the season, and I mean that.
Was going to add something else here. So we added polls in for all the games on our Instagram, and
Yeah,
I thought you'd like to see what the public's opinion is for how these games will play out.
I'd love to hear it.
All right. So the first one for Indiana Notre Dame, 69% of our fans have picked the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 31% Indiana in that one. They all seem to favor Notre Dame in that one. Then Penn State SMU, 67% leaning towards the Nittany Lions, 33% leaning towards SMU. And then Clemson, Texas. I mean, this was the biggest discrepancy on these out of all of them. 81% going with Texas in this one, only
Wow.
19% going with Clemson. So that's really about one or two people who are maybe giving Clemson a shot in this game. And I'll go ahead and say it, Austin, because the next one we're going to talk about is it's probably the toughest one to pick. 56 to 44 in the percentage ranks for Ohio State and Tennessee. The fans, 56% are leaning towards the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah,
Yep, 44% to Ohio State. So everyone expects this to be the close game, and the fans clearly agree.
yeah. This would be an interesting matchup. You got an Ohio State team that stumbled at the finish line, missed the Big Ten championship, and a Tennessee team that kind of had a better finish to their season after the losses to Arkansas and Georgia, a stronger finish. So it'll be a great matchup in Columbus in prime time. Ohio State looking to defend the home field, which they didn't do to close out the regular season. So who do you got in this one?
Totally off topic. Georgia Southern just threw a pick six to Sam Houston.
Uh,
They tried to Georgia Southern tried a screen pass, and I can't see what his name is, but number 4 for Sam Houston was literally right there waiting for the screen pass and picked it off. So, not good. Not a good start for us who picked Georgia Southern. But with this game, look, I talked about it last week. If Ohio State wants to win, they got to air it out. They have to air it out and play aggressive offensively. They can't get into this run heavy game with good defense and just running the ball like they did against Michigan. And honestly, that's Tennessee's strength, a really good defensive unit. Dylan Sampson, what a season he's had. I don't think enough people are talking about the season he had at Tennessee. He was absolutely incredible on the ground. He ran the football really well all season long. And you look at Ohio State, what's their two weaknesses I've talked about? Number one, their defensive line. I think there's some weaknesses on that defensive line. I think you'll see Ohio State get dominated at the line of scrimmage there as long as Tennessee looks to run the ball in this game. If Tennessee looks to pass it with Nico, I could see Ohio State winning this game. But it comes down to the way Tennessee plays offensively in that one. And also, that Ohio State offensive line has had so many injuries. It's ridiculous how many injuries they've had. Now you're going against one of the better defensive lines, one of the better players in the country in James Pierce. To me, this just equals a mismatch for Ohio State. So I think if Tennessee comes out and they establish the run early, like I expect them to do, they will win this game. I'll roll with Tennessee to win. But if they start out passing, then it could be Ohio State's day.
yeah, I think that this game you're going to see Tennessee. follow the Michigan game plan to a T. Watch a lot of that film, do a lot of the same stuff, except in this case, you have a quarterback, so you'll be able to drop back and throw on those play actions and on those third downs. I think that this is a Tennessee team that's going to come out and just dominate this game. Ohio State gave me the vibes of a team that basically gave up and quit after the Michigan game. Just the behavior, attacking Michigan players after the game, to me, that screamed our season's over. They just kind of gave up, and it seems like they lost a lot of hope and a lot of fire. And I think this Tennessee team's got a lot of momentum, and they're just the better team. Like you said, the defensive line, I think, is going to get to Will Howard a lot. And I think that, again, they're going to follow that Michigan game plan and control this clock and make the Buckeyes play slow football.
The question here again is, if Ohio State, the fans, you just wondered, they're expecting a lot of Tennessee fans to make the trip up to Ohio State, to the Horseshoe in Columbus to see Ohio State play. And also, what's the fan reaction going to be? This is the first time at home since the Michigan game where they were booed off the field, where I think every single sports media person in the state of Ohio wanted Ryan Day fired, let alone all the fans who wanted him fired. So I think you have to wonder again what kind of impact the fans have. If the fan base comes out with the mindset of helping the team, that could maybe make a factor early on. But if they come out there and are outnumbered by Tennessee fans and are there just to boo Ryan Day and not cheer on the Ohio State team, it could get ugly there. So I think that's another factor that not enough people are talking about there in that one, along with the game within the game.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But that's our picks for the college football playoff for the upcoming bowl games. Finally, let's hit that bet of the week.
So bet of the week standings still. I meant to say after them. Obviously, nothing's changed there. I am now 19 and 14 in college football. You are 16 and 17 from conference championships
Oh yeah,
from 2 weeks ago.
I went.
So now our overall standings are 22, 14 and 1 for me, and 20, 16 and 1 for you. So you're right there behind me. So we'll see what that could be. So I want to ask before you do this, are you just doing one bet or do you have one for all the college football playoff games?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not falling for that trap again. I've just got one bet of the week this week.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure before I said mine. Uh Listen, to me, this is a very simple bet. I picked them to win outright, and you're telling me they're a 7.5 point underdog. No, give me Tennessee plus 7.5. Tennessee, I think, is gonna, even if they don't win, I think they can keep this within a touchdown. So Tennessee plus 7.5 is easy money in my eyes. Nothing else to discuss there. The only thing I could see is maybe taking the under in that game as well.
yeah. I was thinking under in that game, but my bet of the week in a similar fashion. I also picked this team to win outright. I think they can get it done. I think they can keep this game close. I like Tulane plus 10.5 against Florida in their bowl game.
Okay. I like it. I could see it happen. Uh, TJ Finley is going to be the quarterback at Tulane next year. So how odd is that? That's his fifth school in college
Wow,
football.
that's crazy.
Yeah, he's been there for forever. Also, I guess we're talking about good news. Diego Pavia won his battle with the NCAA, got another year of eligibility. And you wonder what this means for JUCO athletes. Will those JUCO years count in the future? Or are college kids going to get 6 years of playing in college football? They got
Yeah,
to figure that out. They got to figure the transfer portal timing out. They got to figure a lot of things out with the NCAA. And yeah, this is just another thing to pile along with it. But all of us as Americans, you wonder. Here's my question to you, Austin. I know he's coming back. Are we sure he's coming back to Vanderbilt? I think someone's going to offer him a good amount of money to consider leaving Vanderbilt. I hope he stays at Vanderbilt, but I would not be shocked if a school gave him a lot of money for it.
how about a Georgia Tech that's already spent over, spent millions of dollars to build an offensive line out there, and look at what they did with Haynes King. Pavia could fit right into that modified triple option type of offense.
I mean, that's I think that's fair. Here's my question to you though. There's Riley Leonard, obviously. He's a senior. Who do you want? Who's your favorite quarterback in college football that you want to come in the next year? You've had Sam Hartman, then Riley Leonard back to back. I mean, do you want
Yeah,
Diego Pavia? He could be a unique one.
I do like Pavia. I don't know if he's my favorite quarterback. Braylon Braxton would be fun for Marshall. Just my personal connection to the Marshall Thundering Herd, but also he's in the transfer portal, so potentially a Braylon Braxton. I don't hate Pavia. It's something I'll have to think on a little bit longer, because usually I have a favorite quarterback outside, and it was nothing against Sam Hartman, but like I've just been so into Riley Leonard this year. This team's been so competitive there in the college football playoff. I haven't Notre Dame lost what 2 or 3 games last year, so I knew they weren't going to the college football playoff. So there was a certain point where I started like happy to see Sam Hartman play, but I knew I needed to start thinking about who was going to be the quarterback yet next year. But now that we're playing for a national championship this year, I've been just kind of not really thinking about next year because this year's still very much alive for us.
Okay, okay, that's fair. I think that's really is fair, I guess. Hey, speaking of, how about Colorado making the move, getting Caden Salter from Liberty to commit there? You wonder how they're going to be after that. So, I mean, that was a big move in the transfer portal as well. Also, John Mateer, the Washington State quarterback. I'm just going to say it right now so everyone gets it right. Washington State's offensive coordinator and quarterback are now at Oklahoma. I will just say it. Next year, I will be high on the Sooners. Oklahoma football is back. Mark my words. Oklahoma football will be back next year.
Yeah, I'm absolutely with you there. But look, get ready to watch college football playoff. It's coming. Like you said, we've been waiting for it. It's time to sit down, watch the games. We've got an NFL episode that'll be coming to you very shortly. Make
Michael
sure to get
Penix is going to be the fun one. Michael Penix, a named starter. Can't wait to talk about that in our NFL episode.
yeah, the namesake of our Player of the Year award, our first ever college football Player of the Year. Now gets to make his first career NFL start. Lots to talk about in the NFL. Thank you for tuning in, watching the episode. That's Austin Waiter. I'm Austin Hill, and we'll see you.